Hey guys, happy Thursday. Last week in June, I can't believe it. Almost 4th of July for my Americans out there. I hope everyone is enjoying their summer, if it's summer for you. I guess it's not even the same season for all of us. Anyways, I'm Kate. If you're new to our group, I do this every week, Hoerner Happy Hour. Hop on in here and answer any questions that I got over the week from you guys, whether it was in the group or in a private message. So I have 3 things today. I'll go through each of them. If you guys have other questions as I'm on here, just pop them in the comments. I'll check them out. And if you're watching this after the recording, just post them in the comments. I'll answer them next week in Hoerner Happy Hour. Like I said, every week. So don't worry, I got you. First thing I want to talk about, this one is interesting because I actually got this question from some of my instructors at the studio recently, because we've been doing a whole bunch of surveys. So we have a lot of new instructors and we want to understand how people feel about them, right? Because we think they're good. We hired them. They're obviously doing a good job. They're all personable, they're great. But when we're not there to watch their classes, we want to know what people think. So we've been doing a promotion where everyone who fills out a survey after their ride with a new instructor will get a free class, which I think is a pretty good deal. So we've been getting a lot of feedback. Now, there are pros and cons to this, right? Because it allows us to improve areas that we're weak on, but it's also sometimes hard to hear. And I've had a few instructors who are struggling a little bit with this. And so I wanted to kind of talk about this. First and foremost, you guys need to know that if you ever get any negative feedback, the first thing you have to do is understand whether this is constructive or not. And what I mean by that is whatever that person said helpful to that you could take and change about the way you teach and improve as an instructor, or is it just mean? Is it just negative? Is it just they don't like you? So I think something that's tough about being an instructor, and when you have to get this through your head, especially if you're new, you're never going to get everyone to like you. You're never going to please everyone. Even if you are a master instructor, master trainer for the biggest spinning studio in the country and whatever, you're still going to have people that hate your class. It's just the way it is. We're all different. Very much, a lot of our classes is very much based on our personality, and not everyone's going to like you. And I'm sorry to say it, but it's a harsh reality, but it just is what it is. On the other hand, that's if you're getting feedback that's simply about, I don't like her voice, I don't like her music. That's a big one. And there are certain things with music. Some things we definitely have to do. We have to match the energy with our ride and all that. But sometimes people just won't like your music because they don't like your music. Separate issue. But if you're getting constructive negative feedback, she yells into the mic, or, even her music too loud is debatable, because that's another thing. People will come to your class, they like it loud or they don't. But constructive things, like she's not counting her music appropriately. She doesn't have a good form on the bike. She doesn't teach us good form. She doesn't cue our breathing. She doesn't cue, things like that. She's not motivating. She doesn't have energy. These things can be hard to hear, but they will only help you get better. So first thing to do when you get negative feedback is identify, is it actually helpful? Is it something that you can fix? And if it's not, get it out of your head, because that person's just not your person. If it is, take it as a really big opportunity to improve how you teach, because you're not going to get a lot of chances to hear that feedback. Some people will come to your class and honestly, they might absolutely hate it and they'll never say a word. They just won't come back, which is way worse than if they let you know, hey, I didn't love this, and you can fix it. So I know it's not easy to hear, but think of it as an opportunity, reframe it. Don't think of it as a negative thing. Think of it as, okay, they gave me this feedback because they like me enough that they want me to improve. So I'm going to fix this and they're going to come back. Think of it like that. So again, I know it's not easy to hear and sometimes we can't win, but do your best and take it in stride. The next thing I want to talk about was someone messaged me about they're doing jumps in their class and some upper body choreography. I understand not everyone does that, but it's the same principle. You have to learn to count. Counting is a learned skill. If you're not coming from a dancer background or anything where you already know how to count, it's going to take some time. I would say start small. So only do maybe one song with some choreography or jumps or whatever, and then kind of build up as you get better at it. Because if you try and inundate yourself with it in a class, you're going to get super overwhelmed and do even worse. Some little things that help me when I'm doing jumps, I always have I have a tiny little piece of paper with me that I stick to the front of my monitor, and it will give me the timing of when the jumps are starting. So each interval is starting and how many there are. So maybe we're jumping out to third and back, and it's starting at a minute into the song, and I'm doing 4 of them. Probably more than that, but you get the idea. So that way, all I need to do is watch for when the time hits so I can count down right to that, and I'll hear it. Once I know about where it is, you'll hear it. You'll be able to count down to it, and then once you get into it, you know, okay, now I just need to count, 4 of these before I'm done. So that has always helped me. It still takes a lot of practice. I've gotten to a point where I don't really need that piece of paper anymore because I just know my music really well and I know how to do this. I feel confident, which is always a big piece. But if you're not totally confident counting, this will help you. And again, the biggest thing you can do is just practice it like crazy. Get on the bike before your class, the day before, whatever it is, and practice that one song a few times, and you'll feel so much better when it pops on during your class. So hopefully that was helpful. Last question. And again, feel free to comment, guys, if you have more questions. I'll stay on, but we're wrapping this up pretty quickly today. Last question is from Lynn. She asked about an endurance ride and kind of defining what that is. When it comes to cycling, indoor cycling specifically, an endurance ride usually means 30 minutes to anywhere up to a couple hours of a kind of a steady pace aerobic base building. So that means maybe 85 to 100 RPMs, kind of a steady pace for that whole time. So it usually gets associated with the word boring, because it can be if you don't have an incredible instructor, because you're just doing the same thing for the whole class. It's really great for training for people who are outdoor riders coming in, because they need to build that aerobic base. I wouldn't recommend you do this unless you're already doing some kind of periodized training, and that's a piece of it. If you're just doing a class-to-class planning, you don't really have that scheduled training program, I don't think you need to touch this, but it is important for aerobic base building for a lot of people. But yes, it is kind of just like a steady pace for a long amount of time. That's what endurance is. So endurance can also mean other things. You could do endurance hill training, but typically when someone's talking about endurance, they mean kind of the steady state, almost just above a flat road, maybe a little bit heavier for a long period of time. Moderate intensity, more or less. But the word endurance implies to a lot of things. It's basically just maintaining something for a long period of time so that you can build that muscular or aerobic base underneath. So hopefully that answered your question, Lynn. I don't think you need to worry about it. If you have other detailed questions in regards to that, maybe you took a class and you didn't understand what's happening, happy to talk to you about it. So just comment here. I'll get back to you when I come on next week. And that is all I got for you guys today. So I guess that's, our rainy Thursday is coming to an end. Anyways, I hope everyone who is celebrating has a great holiday next week. And I will still be here probably Thursday, probably noon Eastern time. Again, I got to see what my schedule looks like. I have some training in the afternoon, but I'll let you guys know next week. Post your questions in the group or message me, and I'll see you then. Bye, guys.